Hey boys and girls, it's time for another Wednesday night Bible story. And the last time we were together, we studied about one of my favorite Bible stories, and that's when Jesus had breakfast with his disciples on the shore of Galilee. And do you remember what they had for breakfast? They had fish. I don't think I would like fish for breakfast, do you? Back then it was probably a pretty common thing though. Well, today we're going to learn about another one of my favorite Bible stories and one of my favorite things. Do you know, when I was a little girl, I would lie on the trampoline and look up in the sky and look at the clouds and look at all the different shapes that I could see. Have you ever done that? Well, in today's Bible story, there's a mention of a very special cloud. So let's find out about it. So Jesus had appeared for about 40 days at different times to his disciples after he had risen from the dead, and left the tomb. So he had breakfast with them on the shore of Galilee, and now he had told them to gather at the Mount of Olives. This is a small mountain, kind of like a foothill, not tall like LeConte. And now this is just out of my imagination, okay? They were in an olive grove. Now these aren't real olive trees, but they were in an olive grove. And what I want you to do, if you have a computer, look up pictures of olive trees and look up pictures of the Mount of Olive and study about them. Olive trees grow olives. The only two olives I know about are green and black. There may be more, but I do know this. My two nieces, Charlotte and Evie, love black olives, so you should give them a try. And by the way, happy birthday to Charlotte today, who turns 8. I bet she's gonna have some olives today. So you try some olives too. So back to our story. They're gathered at the Mount of Olives, and Jesus has some very special instructions for them. At the end of Matthew chapter 28, he says, "All authority in heaven and on earth have been given to me, and therefore go and make disciples of all nations." So he wants the disciples to make more disciples and make more and more and more until eventually you come to us. Well, if we believe in Jesus, that he is God's son, that he died on the cross to save us from our sins, we can be a disciple too, and then we can share that good news with others. And that's exactly what Jesus wants us to do. So after he had told them that, then we can pick up the story in Acts. Now Luke wrote the book of Acts, and he tells them that after Jesus gave them these instructions, that he was taken up into heaven before their very eyes, and a cloud, there's our cloud, hid him, and he went up into heaven. And suddenly, as the disciples were all staring up into the sky, 2 men dressed in white, they were angels, right? They said, "Men of Galilee, why do you stand here looking into the sky? The same Jesus who has been taken from you into heaven will come back in the same way you have seen him go into heaven." And they just could not believe what they had seen. And so they all went back into Jerusalem and gathered in a room along with the women, including Mary, Jesus' mother, and his brothers. And they prayed and they worshiped and they talked about all of the things, and they waited there patiently because Jesus had told them that a special gift is coming from the Father in heaven, and they needed to wait to stay there and until that gift came. And that's what we're going to learn about in our next lesson. We're going to find out about that very special gift. So stay tuned, and next Wednesday we'll meet again to learn about that. I hope you have a great day, and when you look up into the sky and see the clouds, think of this Bible story.